Hello everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. So excited about today's video because I'm going to be showing you a lot of the ways that you can take some of those backgrounds that you've been trying to ink blend that didn't quite turn out the way that you wanted them into something magical. So I have 6, maybe 7 ways to show you how to turn those botched ink backgrounds into something great. So let's get into it. Okay, for this video, I think the proper place to start is to talk about what I mean when I say ink blending that didn't go as planned. So that first one you can see has a lot of brush marks from it. This one right here is better. I'm going to use this as sort of my comparison. On the left, this is a good ink blend. You don't have any blotching, a little bit here and there, not much, as opposed to the right one, which has some of those brush strokes on it, which I cannot blend into the cardstock. Now I'm going to show you one that I really wasn't happy with on the left-hand side, and that was using dye inks on cardstock with a ink blending brush. Something I talk about in a class I'll discuss in a minute is how do we get the perfect combination of supplies to get us the best blends. So you can see through here, I'm not seeing a whole lot of blending with those colors, a smooth transition from one to the next in some of these. This one right here is quite blotchy, not soaking into the paper the way I wanted to, and then this one has a red mark right in the center. The orange didn't go into the yellow very nicely. This one does look good though, and this is on watercolor cardstock. So I'm not going to get into necessarily the details of that, the supplies used. This video is going to talk about how do we turn some of those projects that didn't turn out the way we wanted to into something good. First idea is to use a cover plate or a large die cut over it. You're going to break up some of that blotching, look at which particular piece you want to actually cover up, and use a die that's going to help you achieve that. I'm using the Wavy Sun die here. As you can see, right where that blotch was on the red is still there. Side note, I'm going to use my positive die cut from this cover plate die as a template to put in those pieces. It's a very simple puzzling to do that with this particular die. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to get 2 cards for 1. So that's super fun. Who doesn't love that? And then you're going to see me peel this away. Now I can use that on another card for the main card that I wanted to do. So now I've broken up that ink blending, and you can see here on this card, you really don't even notice any blotching at all. Now, to be fair, this particular panel of ink blending really wasn't that bad. However, this is more about the idea and technique than anything else. I'm going to cover up and draw your eye away from any blotching with that really fun black on white sentiment technique there with the Hello die. And then here's some close-ups of that. Now I would probably finish this off with a little more sparkle, so I'll probably do that at a later date, a little pop of color, glitter sparkle, and it'll be good to go. Now this panel right here, I definitely wasn't happy with. I did not think the colors blended into the rainbow magic that I was hoping for. So I'm going to use this panel to die cut images out of. I'm not going to keep the whole panel like I did the last one. This one's going to be chopped up quite a bit more, and that's okay too. I'm going to have a really fun result because now I have this rainbow celebrate, but look, you can't even see it takes out all of the places where it should have blended well together and just makes the sentiment of celebrate. Also with the balloons, I can't even really notice that there's any non-blending happening with the balloons. It just looks seamless in there. And that's great because you've taken your eye down to just one portion from a die cut. And so that's really great. Now you can see here as I'm experimenting, I kept a little bit of this in the video because I pulled out backgrounds that I've made in the past that are just sitting there collecting dust, and I'm going to use one. One is going to coordinate. I chose this sort of embossed star panel here with a little bit of shadow inking around it to be my background. I didn't want a stark white. I thought that would have been a fun, clean, and simple card, but I really wanted to use up this background, and I thought it was a great mix. So I have that, and I'm just going to place down my balloons here. I'm using the rule of odds, I guess. You use odd numbers, it draws the eye better. And so I'm going to place that down with some liquid glue, the celebrate, I love that now I have the innards of that celebrate letters and I can use that on another card. But I did go back just to fill in some of the areas, you know, where the A, the R, the B, you know, those little pieces that are going to finish off the letter there. And love it. I love the way that turned out. Now my final touch here, and this is a bonus tip, use a whiteout pen. This one's from the Dollar Tree. It gives the most stark, beautiful white when you're drawing lines. And so I'm doing this little bubble marks on the balloons to the highlights to make it look like the balloons are shiny. And I really love, and I haven't talked about that tip in a long time, super inexpensive. It's just a whiteout pen from Dollar Tree. And now we have this really fun accent to the cards. So it gives it an extra little pop. And of course, the bonus excitement here is that I got to use up one of my panels. You know, that's a big thing I talk about on my channel is, what are you doing with your backgrounds? All right, let's move into the next one. So this one has a lot of blotching from my blending brush. So I'm going to put a stencil over it. I'm going to see if this works. Spoiler alert, it doesn't, but let's see what I do with it. For this particular technique, I love that idea of going in with the same colors and darkening it with a stencil. It has sort of a monochromatic look, but it's really pretty and it really stands out. So I love the polka dots on this look. It doesn't cover up my blotching though. So I'm going to go through and finish off this card with some things I had in my stash for literally years of items I've colored and cut up and just never used. And so I'm going to take advantage of that and add some of those things to this card. Now, a couple things I want to say about why I got so much blotching on this. I was using the right ink blending brushes, but I was using dye ink and I was using cardstock. So when you're using something that doesn't have a smooth surface like a regular cardstock, you have to be very careful. You can get away with it with oxide inks because they blend better, being that they're a hybrid ink between pigment and dye, but dye inks, real tricky with regular cardstock. Not impossible, but it's a little bit more difficult to use them. So I'm going to finish off this card. This was, I think, a set from Kindred Stamps a while back that I bought it, and a sentiment that I had laying around. I thought that was a super cute card. Of course, I'm going to go back and add a little bit more glitter to this card. But given that this was probably the one panel that I liked the least with my mistakes, let's talk about the class I actually have coming up very soon and see if you're interested in learning a little bit more about getting that great ink blending. Hello everyone, it's Mary. I'm so excited to share with you about the next live class that we have coming up. So the details will be on the screen for this live class, but I have to tell you, this is probably my favorite technique to teach, and I pulled out all the stops. I am so thrilled to be able to bring to you the Master the Art of Ink Blending course. So in this live class, we are going to go over tips, tricks, the best supplies to use, troubleshooting, if you're having issues, what could it be? And then also, if things just don't turn out the way that you want them, what can you do with those panels anyway? So we're covering everything, and I really hope that you join us. One of the reasons why is because there's no catch to this class. Let's go over some of those details. The first thing is, it's pay what you can. One of my biggest missions here is to create these opportunities for all of us to come together and build community. That to me is the most important thing. And sometimes that doesn't always suit everyone's budget. So it's pay what you can, as low as $1. Also, I have that price set that way because maybe this is your first live class and you don't really know what to expect, or maybe you don't have all the supplies that might go along with the theme. You can come in, hang out, check it out, see if it's a technique you like, and then go from there for your crafting journey. We are also giving away over $300 worth of prizes, such good stuff. We have Misties to give away and some other really exciting tools, some die sets, stamp sets, ink blending brushes, just a really good time with the prizes. That's one of my favorite parts. And I'm also including my brand new 8-page download that includes all of the things that we'll talk about in class, but stuff that you can take for reference, as well as pictures to go along with it, and 42 different color combinations with Oxide inks and Catherine Puller dye inks. Lastly, you're going to get lifetime access to the replay should you want to come back to it, and access to our private Facebook group where we head in there before classes, after classes, we share our projects, we ask questions. It's just a great community and it is thriving right now. All of that is included with this upcoming live. So really, like I said, no catch. Just come enjoy, have a good time. Creative therapy is so very important for us, and that's the community that I want us to build together. All right, so if you're going to join us, click on the link below and get registered. You have to be registered to attend. I hope to see you in class. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program here. I lied to you. This was the panel I liked the least. This one came out so stinking blotchy. So again, I just used the wrong cardstock and dye inks. And so moving on. What are we going to do with this? I'm going to actually emboss it. I completely transform this background. You can't even tell. Okay, so I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, but as the embossing sandwich. And once I get that done, I still see quite a bit of blotchiness on the background. You can see not necessarily blotchy, but not blended. It's just not like the colors are not working into each other. So then what I do is the first step of fixing this is I'm going to take some black soot distress oxide ink, and I'm going to make sort of a shadow around it. And I thought, okay, let me start there and see if that draws your eye in a little differently, and I wasn't happy with it. But here's the seal. I took some Nocturne ink from 𝒕𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒅, and I'm running it over. This is a really stark black ink. This is a pigment ink. I'm running it over my panel, and here I'm highlighting, I'm pulling out some of those details from that embossing ink. I want to do it just a little bit more in both directions and see what I get here. And it just, to me, against the backdrop of those colors, it makes it pop so much. Really, really pretty right off of the card panel. So very happy with that one. I finished that off with some holographic paper as a border frame. And then I just added a very simple sentiment and some diamond embellishment in there. And that really finishes off that card. So I turned something that I probably might have thrown away into a beautiful card. All right, this next idea is going to move really quickly. I'm going to be testing out the new scrapbook.com luster brush marker. This is the black one. And I got to tell you, the convenience of not having to pull out watercolors, a paintbrush, a water tin, just to get splatters onto my card panel is great. So I'm just going to put this on an acrylic block, and I'm going to use splatters here. This panel looks pretty good. I'm not really trying to cover up anything, but I am going to finish off into a designed card. And so one of the things I thought was going to be really pretty was really stark black splatters onto this background, and I love it. Thumbs up, 2 thumbs up for that marker. I think the convenience of it is fantastic. And I just finished off this card with a holographic cardstock frame with Love You die cut out. I even used the little hearts that were left over from the die from the heart in the love word and added some diamonds to finish that off. Very simple design technique for your cards. All right, and the last idea I have for you is just kind of starting over-ish. You have a background you don't like, it's colorful. Just add some colors you might be missing from a galaxy, and let's make a galaxy out of this. So I just added some yellow that was mustard seed. Now I'm using the mustard seed over my dye inks because they will actually cover them instead of get sort of lost on it. Oxide inks are a little pigmented, so they will lay on top of cardstock, which is great. I'm adding some black soot. Now I'm trying the white version of the scrapbook.com marker, and I did not think at first glance it was going to be opaque enough for my liking, but you'll see in the finished card, it does a great job. So this is another 2 thumbs up for this new marker. Loving this one. This one is called by the same name, the Luster Brush Marker in the white, and you can get all those links from below in the description if you want to check them out closer. Pro tip, use a toothbrush to get some of those fun galaxy splatters that keep them clustered and really close together. And there's my finished panel. Now that's a little wet, but I'm going to show you some close-up pictures in just a second of how I finished it off. And I kept it very simple. I used a galaxy-themed or a space-themed stamp set that I had with some embossing. I didn't feel like coloring anything, so I just cheated and used embossing ink, or embossing powder rather, on the panel. So that's how I finished it off. I hope this was helpful for you as you're on your ink blending journey and trying to figure it out. And if things don't quite go your way, that you have some inspiration to still keep those backgrounds, because they can still be made into something super beautiful. Don't forget, if you do want to join our live ink blending class, the link will be below. And if it's after the date of the live, check that link anyway, because it's probably still going to be available for you to access. I'd love for you to check out that video so that you can take those tips and tricks and turn them into another skill set for your card making. I will see you in class, in the comments down below, or in the next video. Bye-bye.